Welcome, guys. Welcome to another live stream. How is everyone doing? It's the first stream of my start of the week. A week that was supposed to be quite volatile or busy, but not that much. There was not exactly momentum being created in the market. Well, it is what it is. Market looks like it's a little bit indecised at this point. After the FOMC, the ECB, and even the non-farm payrolls, right? I hope you guys had a good week. Welcome to the stream. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel. Basically, we are going to take a look at the different assets between FX pairs, the indices, some commodities, including gold and oil, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. In the end, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to mention any key levels that you are looking for. We're doing this together, so feel free to participate and to comment in the chat if you find any good levels that you are looking for. Basically, you are doing the forecast or prediction for next week levels. So yeah, dollar index, right? Still kind of within the range. Nothing really happened or changed comparing with the previous week. We spent quite a few times, kind of 1 week somewhere just within this level. Kind of now expanded a little bit, but we are still literally with these highs, and this was kind of the important levels in here at this point within this structure. Basically, the last higher high, the last high towards to the last lower low, and we already respected this level one time. Then all this week we managed to continue to respect these lows. We managed to go a little bit above this level, but we are still literally respecting something in here just above these highs. Didn't even got even to the extreme of this level. So literally nothing much to talk about is this dollar index. We need a little bit of direction. We need to see one of those levels to be broken. Yeah, we are here. I was looking to see if this week price would try to create something like this, like it happened in February when we also had the FOMC, then the ECB, and then the NFP moving to the upside. So it was a similar week as we had at the beginning of February, basically 3 months ago. But yeah, that didn't really happen with the FOMC kind of indecision. Yes, with the ECB, we saw euro moving to the downside initially, which kind of led this the dollar index to move to the upside. But then there was some correction in here, and by the end of the day, kind of price was already midway there. There was really no momentum to continue. That's what you had. Then with yesterday with the NFP, which came out again quite stronger comparing with the prediction from the market, right? The expectation, it was, where is the NFP? Right, 181. It came out at 253. It was even, it managed to even go back to 3.4, which is, I think, the historical low, right? 3.4%, if I'm not mistaken, recently. Yeah, which is quite low, which is kind of the opposite from what Fed Powell is trying to do, right? He's trying as much as possible and as hard as he can to bring the unemployment to the upside, and it's not being able to do that. So when everyone maybe is expecting for the next meeting on the 14th of June for the Fed to just be unchanged and not hike anymore, with yesterday's data, it may change a little bit. This one, for example, at the completion of the Fed, it was at 0% probability of another hike. At this point, it's already at 8.5%. Let's see. Next week with the CPI as well. let's see what kind of number is going to come out. But the unemployment, which is something, and the data point that the Fed has been looking at for so long, giving its real importance. It's a positive news, but it's a concern for the Fed, the way they are looking at it. So let's see if this is actually the peak in the interest rate at 5.25, or if by any chance it's going to be another one. The only point on the labor market that is a little bit more negative, it's a little bit the job openings, which has been reducing. It was at 10 point something just 2 months ago. Now it's basically 1 million jobs less. That's the only concern in there. Aside from that, it looks strong still. So the Fed, that may be one of the reasons for this indecision that you are seeing in here on the dollar. Not really creating any momentum. I think if the numbers yesterday were about to be quite negative, I think maybe in that moment we would have seen maybe dollar actually going higher in these indices. Yeah, maybe falling. So let's see what's going to happen in there. The dollar, well, it was much easier to predict what would happen with the euro pairs and with the ECB, expecting the move to the euro to move to the downside, than anything related to the dollar, at least for me. So again, we are stuck within this range. Hey Jack, how are you, man? We are stuck within this range. I need price to move away from this level before starting to make proper predictions. Otherwise, I would just continue to maybe try to look for maybe even the other currency pairs, except from the major ones, or more what related to the euro or to the yen pairs, which were much easier to predict this week as well. Bigger picture, as you know, we managed to take side with this low, but nothing special. We are still kind of trading around to this level. I wouldn't be surprised if, even as I mentioned, I think last week or so, if by any chance dollar wants to continue to go down, it can. There's maybe more room even to go to the downside from this level, something that we have been looking for a long time. When this happened, I was looking for that correction, at least for some reaction to the upside from here. That happened already. This is already enough. Maybe from here, price is actually just ready to move down in there. So that could be a possibility. I don't really see anything even in particular that stands out to me. Then you have this little bit of this range, something that you can go below that. We have another range in there. We do have quite a little bit of a few zones in here, basically with all this previous level of resistance. That's where we paused for a second. We do have this one as well, kind of those left shoulders. Maybe prices already reacted from there on the way up with this low. Or maybe there's a little bit of a zone just underneath that price could still go and react from. Now, yes, we are creating this. This looks like kind of a double low. You guys know that sometimes when you do have double lows or double tops, that can be a great PI to eventually look for something like this, a proper fake out in there, and then reverse. Again, I would prefer to see this high being broken first before having actually this fake out to occur, because kind of the break of this high kind of would give me a little bit indication that, or open space for price to go a little bit higher, maybe even retesting this high, or at least going back to that level. Yeah, so at this point that hasn't really happened. We did manage to break a little bit this high, but as I mentioned, this is the important level that actually matters, which is kind of the one that created that low in there. So yeah, a little bit in that indecision. Let's see, we could even maybe, for example, break these lows and even retest now this level altogether and go down, or even fake out slightly this high, even go into there and continue. Yeah, so I would prefer to see first a bullish signal before the fake out happens. So let's see what's going to happen on the dollar this week. Yep, any attempt to go higher just got rejected, with this low still managing to hold price in there. Yep, is there anything underneath here with this spike that can be used for price to fake out? Now that you have a little bit of this structure as well, I'm not really sure. Maybe that spike already kind of took the whatever orders were left behind in there. Yeah, maybe did. Wait. So yep, maybe with this one. Of course, you have this one all together in there, but yeah, I'm going to play with cautious. Anything in here related to the dollar. Yeah, euro, as I mentioned, it was much clearer the prediction and the move to the downside, especially during the ECB, which has been kind of a norm during these recent ECB meetings, with the euro going to the moving down. At least that's kind of what we have seen during the compare all the way through last year. Most of them, the euro into the downside. Yeah, let's keep the dollar now. There's not really much to look at it. If you take a look at the indices, quite interesting, the behavior in the indices with S&P. There we go. All right. So S&P, we had beginning of the month and the week in May, price kind of corrected quite nicely at the end of April, and then we had another fake out of the highs, and price moves all the way down. So we fake out, we had already taken these highs, and now it took a little bit more of these highs again. Can we fake out again those highs? We are still, main point is we are still trading within this zone, within this range in here, within this supply level. So we haven't taken this high yet to go towards to the next level, right? You guys know that the S&P is already, not S&P, the NASDAQ is already trading above this level. S&P is still kind of holding that high, which I think eventually is going to be taken. Now we are starting to see a little bit of a weakness in here, but then it's really, as soon as you kind of have a little bit of a move down, there's also some momentum created in here. Now this one, again, really nice PA all around in here. In the move, you can see price goes up, price fake out those highs, breaks these walls, and kind of moves to the downside. Really strong move, then kind of reaction in there. As soon as you break these walls, kind of open space to go a little bit farther down. In here, it was a little bit tricky on the S&P comparing with NASDAQ, because maybe this wall, you could consider that maybe it's already reacting a little bit from this range in here. So there was not exactly as much price as you could imagine. I could create second thoughts in there. On the NASDAQ, it was a literally space toward until price kind of would between this low and kind of this structure. So there was even more confirmation on NASDAQ that it would go down, and you can use that information as correlation between the different assets. This is what happened during the FOMC. Absolutely one of the most boring FOMC meetings that we could have watched in terms of even the press conference or price movement. A lot of range, no momentum whatsoever. It was absolutely well, comparing with the previous ones, especially last year, there was almost no movement whatsoever. Price actually just started to finally move a little bit away by the end of the press conference. Nevertheless, this was a nice little zone that was in there in alignment with these highs. And there's, for me, I think there's maybe still a possibility to look for more sell opportunities even within these highs. Now, yes, I'm bigger picture. I would like to see price even going a little bit there before maybe a potential drop. But for now, I think there's maybe still some kind of reaction to be expected from here, and that's kind of a little bit of what I'm going to try to look for. It would be even nice if price kind of could pretend or kind of pause a little bit as a double top in here, just for then kind of have that final strong move up, and then kind of another drop from somewhere in there. We didn't manage to break these lows, so that can be seen a little bit more as a indication that maybe price does indeed want to continue to move down, which is good to see. Yep, that can open a little bit the door. It's another kind of low being broken in there. Don't really know what price reacted to, so I don't really see anything in particular that price has reacted from. So that, in my opinion, can be seen as an engulf down. Now, is price going to react from here and go all the way down? Maybe that can happen, or it can also happen the situation of another break above. As I mentioned, kind of there's still a little bit of space. As long as there's still space above those highs towards that level, I will be always cautious of a potential fake out of this level towards here. So that's something that I'm going to pay attention to on the S&P. Now, if I was about to go and actually look for this big short in here, I would, again, as I mentioned, would like to see some weakness from price. We do have a little bit of this level. Maybe price could respect it a little bit, go higher, start breaking a few of these lows to then kind of open the door to go much further down, at least maybe somewhere in there. So that's a little bit of what I'm going to be looking for on the S&P, something that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks or even months. It's exactly as since price is somewhere in here, that's basically since April, start noticing a little bit of weakness, and and price is giving us that. It's starting to show some weakness, and the bulls are not that as strong as they look like. The sellers are managing to battle and to fight between these 4,200. Many people are considering this 4,200 as the key level. If by any chance price managed to break above it, maybe there's going to be some momentum to the upside. So they're looking at this level as a key zone of resistance, which if the major of traders are looking at it, or investors, it can actually work quite nice for that fake out to happen, right? Because if everyone is thinking about turning bullish as soon as you literally have a proper break above this 4,200, that can actually be a good bearish signal, or good way to fake out everything in here and then go down. Now, we are not going to just sell it like that. We're going to pay attention to whatever level of structure in the scenario that this is going to be broken, right? Going to see whatever PA or important decision point or demand level, whatever is going to be created around it with these highs, that price is going to break above it. Now, then we want to see kind of that level being broken to the downside before kind of joining the move down. If this level just keeps holding upwards, then there's not exactly a sell opportunity. Now, you can even have that initial sell opportunity just from here all the way till there, and kind of playing between these two levels. Yep, you can try to find some trades in there if you do find some risk reward and good entries. Now, in terms of then looking actually for this, then we need to break this level in here, and then we'll see how we're going to be start trading that level, considering that we already have even this break to the downside in here. It's just a few ideas for the S&P in case we are looking for potential sells in here, right? And one of the reasons I'm looking for sells is because my brain works as a counter trend trader. That's kind of what usually I try to look for, but I'm not going to just try to sell every single high. I'm trying to understand also where are the major levels to look for and what kind of price action I want to see in order to do that. So yes, that's the NASDAQ, the S&P, and this is NASDAQ, right? So NASDAQ continues to move to the upside. As I mentioned, NASDAQ has already broken that high, where S&P keeps trading underneath, and is getting a little bit closer to this level. Now, this was the engulf that I mentioned, that it was a little bit more clear on the NASDAQ comparing with the S&P, because NASDAQ literally broke these lows, and there's literally this price all the way through until here, and the S&P, this low got basically reacting from already this level of structure, right? Sometimes if you do have a break of a low but price goes all the way until here, okay, there's maybe a scenario that's not exactly just an engulf down, because price goes straight away and fills the space, but in here it's quite obvious that this price was available, so you could have tried to trade it that way. And then where did price go to? Just literally kind of this level in here of the supply just before that big drop, and that's basically what price did yeah, there was maybe a little bit of something at these highs, basically where price is already reacting from. I'm expecting new highs in here, most likely. Again, the main thing is when price is going down, also it has quite a strong move to the upside, right? Again, we are still the earnings season is almost over. We had basically the biggest earning announcement during the last week. It was Apple. Aside from that, basically everything else has been announced. Of course, there is still the situation in the banking sector, and that's a big concern with the major banks basically acquiring the smaller ones. That's a concern in there. But there you go. We have the indices finishing the week again for the second week in a row, finishing quite strong after the beginning of the week, moving to the downside. And in this case, NASDAQ just filled that space that was in here all the way through the next level. There's not exactly an engulf down in here. Eventually, yes, I would like to see maybe price going a little bit lower, but for now, there's not exactly an engulf down. It's basically a lot of range in here, and then price went all the way through the demand zone, and again, kind of creates a little bit of space and goes and retests one of those next level of structure with another strong bullish candle. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3 kind of quite strong, another strong one. Let's see anti-wire. Let's see if price by any chance finally is getting closer to this level, and from here let's see what's going to happen. But yes, anytime price is moving down, it's basically taking the demand zones that were in there. It looks like a nice compression level to me. Let's see what's going to happen in here in the next couple of weeks or so. All right. Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen, if we're going to have any big opportunity to look for a big reversal on the indices. And then we had Dow as well, right? So there you go. It filled the space. It's done as well, right? So what were we looking for on the Dow? We noticed that this one last week it had broken these lows, so that's literally opening again space, the door for price to go towards the next level. Where is the next level? Is exactly in here, right? Basically the next previous of support resistance with the demand zone. That's exactly the next level. After this operation, this is kind of where this movement occurs. This was a nice KM zone that should have worked, and price should have gone to the downside. It didn't, just a little bit, and then just continue, and you have the demand zone in alignment with that. We also have previous level support resistance in there, so that's a good level to look for price to react from. Right, so we had that engulf to the downside. Price decided to make another fake out, because now we had this level that has already been respected, but there's quite a few even left shoulders above it, as you can see it. So this level in here was still fresh. I need to maybe go into the lower time frame to see if there's even something in here also in alignment with this level, that maybe price can still go there, or if this is enough. A double top, fake out, and maybe this level in here can be enough. Now, bigger picture, we actually managed to break another wall. Right, in the moment we kind of fill the space, but bigger picture, if you actually now start considering the 4-hour time frame or even daily time frame, we actually managed to break a little bit. So question mark now is this actually an engulf down in the bigger picture or not? Right, or price just wants actually to continue to go higher? Yes, this is a break to the downside as well. In terms of the space itself, it kind of closed it. I would have preferred, for example, to see actually this wall actually managing to break this level. That maybe would have opened door for price eventually to go all the way down in here. So again, a little bit with cautious, but with a open mindset of seeing this level as an engulf could be a situation. So somewhere in here, I think I'll still consider looking for a potential sell opportunity, or I think price can still kind of respect and go down from somewhere in there, or even in here as well. So one of these two, I don't even know what is this. Okay, let's just delete this one, create a new one. Yeah, so that's a little bit something to look for on the Dow Jones, right? So a little bit of space in here that price can go to with this left shoulder in there, in alignment also with this kind of previous high in here. It kind of, breakdown as well. Yeah, so far overall for the week, for the movement that you were looking for, that's done, right? The break of this one and filling this price, that's done. And yes, not always price is going to just respect these highs and go down. It's actually going to fake out that level into the next level. As you can see in there, it's a beautiful survival level still that was fresh. Don't even have the data to check it. But yeah, somewhere in here, as you can see, we even have another left shoulder, price goes down, fake out in alignment with this high. Yeah, it's a nice level. And now we have DAX as well. DAX has been an interesting one. Managed to break again new lows in here. It's going to be interesting to see how price is going to react somewhere from there. But you are getting really close, right? So initially we reacted underneath these highs. Now we reacted literally from the last zone inside there. And there's still maybe another level to look for at the top, right? So it was one supply, was another one, and there's maybe another one just above it. And DAX has been respecting almost every single one of them. Maybe something in here with this left shoulder can be interesting. With this high in here that we just fake out, just to see if there's anything in there to use. But yes, then we do have that extra level. Maybe not even just in here. Can even maybe look at and consider this high as well in here. Yeah, but everything in here of this will can be interesting as well for price to react from. Since these highs, when you have this retracement, these highs never reacted from there. So maybe that's actually the space that eventually DAX wants to fill. Nevertheless, we are starting to get really close to this double top, which can be a concern, because we can actually have that fake out of this double top, these all-time highs in here, right? So that can be a little bit of concern, but you can see a little bit of this range that is starting to be created in here. What's going to open? Yeah, so let's see what's going to occur on the DAX. Nevertheless, yeah, so that's the high that we just fake out over there. It actually has a little bit of this level, maybe some reaction from here, a little bit to the downside, and even just respect all the way until here. Of course, up until this point, this level in here can be quite important to see price kind of holding it and go higher. If by any chance you start breaking this low, maybe there's a chance then for price to move further down. So let's see this range in here, how price behaves around that level. Yeah, seeing this one being broken maybe opens the door for even price to go down from somewhere within these highs to the downside. Yeah, that's it for the indices. Did manage to break this low, even managed to break below this one as well, a little bit towards this level. So in that sense, did price feel this price and then kind of move to the upside, or is that an engulf down? And price that actually wants to go, and price actually wants to go further down, right? That's a little bit of the question. On this time frame, we are on the 4 hour. Price never really kind of feel the space in here, so there's maybe an engulf to be seen in there. So that's kind of what I will be continue to look for in here. So let's see how price opens on Monday. Now let's take a look at the other indices. There you go, Euro Index. This was one of the most predictable ones, especially as we were moving ahead on Thursday to the ECB press conference. So what we had, it was so clear, the compression on the Euro Index and price taking all these highs in here, reacting into this this level, a fresh supply zone. There's none of these levels actually reacted from there, so that level was still fresh. You can see kind of that move upwards, just a rejection straight away, kind of move to the downside, leaving this supply fresh. Eventually price can even go a little bit higher towards that level, but for now This was quite good. Few levels of support resistance in alignment with this line as well, which is nice to see. And then the approach, right, which is exactly something that we pay attention to, which is this, right? We start having double tops, even triple tops, price rejecting, and all of a sudden even have slightly a break below this demand zone, and you have that final fake out. There you go. Collecting the liquidity, check, that's done. After taking out those orders from these highs, then you even managed to break the lows, check as well, moving further down. Then you have this range, this level in here, right? So we start opening space. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, second. All right, so we actually started to break again this level in here. Wants to go down. Price doesn't really feel straight away this price, so we can even go further down. What do we do? A lot of highs, supply, check one more time. Another fake out. What we do after that, right? We finally managed to break this structure in here. Check again. This is basically just before the interest rate decision. Here, we broke the lows. Price retraces, interest rate decision, it was 25 basis points as everyone was expecting, sell off from now this range in here, right? So it keeps going like this, fake outs, goes, fake out, goes, and it kept moving on. It kept breaking structure. Now retest the level that was just broken in here and inside here as well, and goes again and basically fills all this compression that we had, right? So having all this compression that you could have seen being created for the last 2 weeks or so. Maybe it has started all the way since the 17, 18 of April, continued to go. We already actually managed to break a little bit this low, so that's kind of not really important anymore. Start breaking a little bit this one as well. So it starts getting weaker as well. Another one that we just break, another one that we just take, right? You can start seeing exactly weakness, 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 price breaking lows on the way up, price breaking lows on the way up, until eventually we finally have that move that basically took 1 week or so to be created, and in a couple of hours price fills out that range. And these are the type of setups that I'm mostly trying to find out how these compressions occurring with the break, with the momentum created for the last move before price finally drops, which is exactly what I'm trying to look for. Recently we actually did a session. We are going to call this kind of compression, this last move in here, it's kind of phase 3, and then the final move, the final turn, which kind of in reality is not just here, is actually all this in here, which kind of we're going to call it kind of phase 4, which is after we manage to break below finally a good level with double top in there. All this is kind of phase 4, and then price kind of drops, and eventually then this phase 4 becomes phase 1, with now phase 2 somewhere in here to look for another sell. And then between phase 2, there's usually big momentum until finally a new compression starts, which in theory is going to start a new phase 3, which phase 3 is usually this compression before the drop. So that's kind of what we have. Is the euro done? Is the euro index going to stop from here and go higher? I think there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside, so maybe we're going to have a little bit more room to the downside on the euro pairs. Right, and that's this was a little bit more easier to predict comparing with the dollar index, for example. And maybe it was not even the euro pair, the right euro as a euro currency to look for, right? For example, maybe euro pound, euro Aussie, euro CAD, maybe even euro yen, or whatever could have been maybe the right one to try to approach, even though euro yen was actually euro dollar, it was actually quite nice. So yes, next level, maybe retesting this previous level of support resistance in alignment with all these highs. Yeah, that could be. So as you can see, this is basically one of the last months that is still fresh. It is exactly in here, right? Because this low didn't really break that one. So that's basically the last demand that is still fresh on the way up. This one was already taken, so price actually eventually wants to go a little bit further down. Now, as this low in here reacted from that level, there's a little bit more room to the downside. Yeah, most likely, I think Euro eventually wants to go and create, at least take these lows and takes these lows and maybe go a little bit lower from there. Now, are you going to have a little bit of a retracement? Maybe you can have a little bit of that retracement before continue to move down. Now, another question is this high the last high on the euro? Maybe not. Maybe actually price eventually wants to go a little bit towards that level, in which we feel this compression that was basically started somewhere in there, right? But this level in here was literally fresh. It was a nice zone for price to go to. So yeah, first level of to look for, it will be somewhere in alignment with this previous level of structure. In reality, that zone was already kind of reacted from with this low. It already reacted from this previous level of support resistance. So maybe price actually wants to completely fill this compression, go below that compression, maybe towards this demand zone in here, right? So that's maybe something to consider on this euro index, and we just need to position ourselves accordingly then for the euro pairs that we're going to try to look for. Yep, that's basically it. Much easier to predict how the PI was there in order to see kind of this drop on the euro index. And then you have the yen index, right? Another one that we were looking for. We had a big reversal during the week on the yen index, of yen getting a little bit stronger, which led euro yen, dollar yen, Aussie yen, pound yen all the way to the downside until we finally reached the next level of structure, which was this one, and kind of this level of supply. On the other ones, it was a level of demand that price reacted now and kind of starting to go a little bit higher, right? So looking at the bigger picture, we actually managed to break slightly these lows. That's kind of where this one reacted from. So there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside on this yen index. So to get a little bit weaker, bigger picture, this is actually something that I'm still looking for, kind of at least until here, if not actually until there. This is kind of where one of that separations occurred, and I'm going to be trying to see how price eventually is going to approach this level in there. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen on the yen pairs. Now we are kind of stuck within this range, so that move has already occurred. So let's see what's next in here. I'm going to be aiming still for that level, or even for that level on the yen index. So let's see. At this point, this high is okay. It looks like a strong high around this level. So if in case we break this level, that kind of changes a little bit the situation, and maybe can look for price to go even higher. But for now, that is what it is. And yep, now it's time to look for basically the trade that we're looking for is kind of the reversal that reaches target, which was in here. So that's done. That was the move that we're looking for last week on the yen pairs. Yep, and that's it in here. Let's go take a look at the individual currency pairs. Yeah, Jack, are you still there? If yes, we can take a look at Bitcoin first if you want. Right, so euro dollar. Now, euro dollar is an interesting one, right? It's an interesting one. So what we did have, right? So we had the ECB, we had the FOMC price spiked all the way, kind of managed to still go below that. Then on Thursday we had slightly break below this level, leaving that zone still fresh. That's kind of when we had the sell-off on Euro index. In here we were noticing this compression zone to look for price to go towards to. There was a little bit of space in here that was kind of a potential target in there, and yes, of course we do have this extreme eventually somewhere in alignment with these left shoulders in there. So we are seeing out this range on the euro at this point. Nevertheless, I'm kind of was looking for kind of these breaks in here, even a little bit of this one. I'm starting to see a lot of compression also on this euro dollar, which eventually can lead to a sell-off in here, right? To maybe to move to the downside. Now, what we had before, it was kind of, we had created a little bit of this double top just before the ECB. And in reality, for me, for my view on the ECB, on something that I was looking for, it was to make that extra fake out of this double top before the drop. I didn't really wanted to just shorten it here. It was already way too many highs in alignment, and I just waited for that, which actually didn't really occur, which was a little bit weird as well. Kind of, even though euro actually moved to the downside, the big move actually occurred during the interest rate decision, and that's usually not the case in these meetings. Right? Usually FOMC or ECB, price does move, of course, when the interest rate comes out, but usually it tends to, either if it goes up, it tends to kind of come all the way back to the same original point where price was. And the biggest moves it usually occurs during the press conference, and most likely when the Q&A starts after Christine Lagarde Chair Powell kind of reads their own statement, because it's usually during the Q&A that some questions can spark the market and can maybe they can get something out of them with some kind of answer that can again move the market. And it didn't really happen this time, right? We had a little bit of the interest rate, and then kind of during the press conference, there was no momentum being created. There was just a lot of indecision. Christine Lagarde, with her tonality, it looked like she was a little bit hawkish in there. Of course, ECB to most likely to continue to hike interest rates in the next meetings. And let's see. So euro, bigger picture, my favorite setup, it would have been exactly that. We are reacting maybe from a good level in there, but in my opinion, I think there's maybe something above that eventually could go towards to. So this is one of the last demands that was still fresh. Price basically just took it from there. I would love to see price eventually taking this double top, making that fake out, and then yes, and then maybe can feel all this compression, maybe pausing in here a little bit, if not even continue to go further down, but maybe all the way towards to 1.08623. Maybe that could be something to look for eventually when you do break again kind of below this wall. But before that, yes, I would love to see that final fake out of this double top and maybe getting closer to this zone in there, instead of just dropping from where we are at this point. So that would be my favorite. That's kind of what I would like to see. If by any chance we start breaking below this level, maybe trying to find some opportunities to fill out this. Yeah, maybe that could be a scenario. If price approaches again these highs, yeah, we kind of left maybe a little bit of a zone in there. It's even more clear on the tick charts. But I don't think I'm going to be looking for any more sales in here. We do have a lot of structure created already in here, and I think I'll definitely just be waiting for that fake out before the sell. That's going to be my game plan for the euro. If price approaches the highs, yeah. If we do break below these walls, then I'll try to see. But yes, we do have any kind of again reversal in there. I believe maybe we're actually going to at least fill the range, at least until these walls, if not even starting going further down without the need to do this, at least in the moment. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit what I'm going to be looking for on this euro dollar. We have pound dollar, which has been moving to the upside, which is good to see. We did had this small engulf down in here, with our price actually filling that range. Even during the FOMC, I was looking for price to get a little bit lower, and price just paused in here, and it just continued to move higher. I'm actually happy that we moved to the upside, because I was not really happy with where the highs were reacting from. The highs in the previous week and even this week kind of paused just around here, and I was looking for price to either go a little bit above that, which is basically where price reacted from just at the closing, and with still even the possibility of price going above these highs, because those actually already have taken this one, and maybe there's a little bit of something in here above it that you can actually use a little bit for potential reversal in here. Now the reversal maybe can even just go all the way to test this level, or can even go all the way to test these lows at this point, right? As price continues to go higher with this momentum, that's something to keep an eye on, and it's maybe just as good as a move as it can be. Another situation just now stand out to me is, even if you break below these lows, there's maybe something still in here that price can eventually go and react from, and then kind of move higher again, right? So we are going to have Bank of England interest rate decision this week, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in there. Nevertheless, interesting enough, that's the UK. It's the worst country in terms of the inflation from the G7, and it's found this one that just keeps going up against the dollar. Yeah, strong move up. Yeah, most likely price is going to create a new high, so we most likely are going to break above these highs in here. Above, if we are going to do that, we can indeed start looking for some levels in here. So we had this supply, which question mark is the high in here. Did it reacted from it or not? Maybe it did. If it did, maybe this level is not as strong anymore. Maybe just reacted from the base of it and not exactly from the supply. So that could be a zone to look for. And then you have a little bit of this level in here as well, that can maybe work as a level for price to react from. So just looking for something above this highs, the highs that are visible on the weekly, most likely even monthly time frame. Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Eventually, if those price eventually breaks above this level, yeah, we may go towards there. First in here, it's this level of the month as well. Kind of should have respected it, and it didn't. Something different in here. Yeah, it's something to pay attention to, because that level should have hold price to the upside, and it didn't. As you can see, kind of it tried, but it never did it. So maybe there's something in here that can be used as a sell. It has already kind of been retested quite a few times. It's a little bit weaker at this point. Even this left shoulders kind of spiked already by that one, so kind of it makes it a little bit weaker. Maybe looking a little bit underneath that can be the best thing to look for. Yep, you can see we have all these structures, so maybe something above that is something to look for. Yeah, interesting enough, it's already reacted slightly from there. There's something to keep an eye on. On the pound. So pound looks quite strong and bullish. And we have Aussie that managed to respect the low in here. So we never broke it. We kind of talked about it. Yes, I would have liked to see this low has been broken, as I mentioned, but since we never really broke them, we had to be cautious with attempting to look for more sales, because price we kind of reached the next level of structure, so we cannot really force price to break levels of structure. Just need to play along with whatever price is doing, and we had already kind of managed to break that high as well, as you mentioned. There you go, nice move, takes it. This was the demand zone that we actually talked about in a moment. Interesting that this low never really reacted from that level, so we have to retrieve this level behind to then eventually be used in the future, like something that price tends to do. There you go, we are approaching this level again. Let's see how price is going to react eventually above that. Not sure if price is going to react from something in here. Maybe in a moment can has a little bit of a reaction. I think price may wants to go a little bit closer to that level. And now this can be the opposite, right? Because we actually had broken these highs in here, and now since we actually respected this this low without breaking this level of structure, maybe this can actually be the engulf upwards, and maybe price actually is going to go higher, right? So it kind of changes a little bit the dynamic of what initially we could have been looking at. Nevertheless, this range may be still in place a little bit, so yeah, cautious with that level. Yep, let's see what's going to happen on the Aussie. On the Euro Aussie, that's a little bit better in terms of the move. We went all the way. We respected that high on the left. Again, these Euro pairs they kind of provided a little bit better PA and moves comparing with, for example, the ones related to the dollar. For example, Euro Aussie maybe a bit more volatile and with bigger moves comparing with the Aussie dollar, for example. So we respected that top. We start breaking lows. That's it. We went all the way. We feel this compression, and we managed to break below it. So opens again new spice. It opens new spice, and it keeps doing like that. And now price most likely, I'm looking forward to see price reacting somewhere from here, and let's see what's going to happen. What's going to happen next, right? Again, showing some weakness, trying to go a little bit lower, even before having that move upwards. So that's really nice to see. And with this move in here, kind of creates those left shoulders that eventually can be used. A nice move in here on the Euro Aussie, and I'm looking to see how price is going to react from the base of it, right? So basically these are the lows that managed to make all this move upwards, and we are about to reach that level at this point. So yeah, curious to see how price is going to react. If we are going to resume the move upwards from here, are we going to manage to break this level of structure or not? So that's something to keep an eye on in here. Starting to compress a little bit. Attention to this level, that is basically the retesting of this in here. This in here can still maybe, if by any chance price retrace a little bit in here before it reaches this level, there's maybe a sell opportunity in there towards this level in here. So that's maybe something to keep an eye on. But if price starts to reach this level first and starts to going higher, maybe the break of this one can start showing a little bit of indication that wants to go higher, then price can retrace, then can go here and maybe turn. So just something to keep an eye on. Nice one on the Euro Aussie. We just look at the pound dollar. We forgot to look at this Euro pound, which is finally respecting. So we had this low as a reference all this time. Interesting enough, structure, breakdown, and there you go. Another one that we kind of had managed to break this level. So we were still looking for bearish moves after the break of these lows in here without really price even reacting from this demand zone. We had a little bit of a reaction there, but just towards the next level of structure, and then price just continued to move down. Is a really nice quasi-model level in here where price kind of retraced towards to before the turn. Again, it's another one that starts to show some weakness, kind of price breaking a little bit or moving to the downside before we have that final breakout. So another one. This type of movement is just beautiful. This is exactly what We want to try to identify this compression, start to show some weakness, pay attention to this high in here. And when you do have that fake out, especially if price is there still something just above it to look for that price can react from, those become really good levels to look for a trade. And there you go, continuation, move down, and let's see what's next on the euro pound. So whenever maybe the pound dollar is about to find some level at the highs and start turning, maybe you can pay attention to that as well on the euro pound, which can be maybe even all the way, yep, all the way until here. Right, you can actually feel out this compression at this point. At least on this time frame, it looks like prices felt out this. It looks like that. That's but this level in here is all compressed. Yeah. So let's see what's going to happen on the euro pound. Paying attention also to the pound dollar to help identify a potential reversal in here. And then you have the yen pairs, right? So as we mentioned, dollar yen reacted quite nicely from this double top, reacting at that high, creating a double top in there. That's kind of when you had the yen index kind of starting to move to the upside, and now it's reacting this month. Basically, dollar yen, euro yen, also reacting from that level. I think pound yen also reacted from it as well. So this is a little bit of a supply level that this high never reacted from. You're actually looking for a sell in there. That price never really reached with this high, leaving that level for the future. It's kind of where we are at this point. But what's going to happen next? It's going to be the interesting part of it, right? Are you going to actually manage to respect this level and go higher, or by any chance are you going to break below this level of structure, which would mean maybe the yen index to break above that level of supply and continue to go higher, right? So that's kind of the question mark, if you're going to break below this or not, since we kind of respected that that high. Right, so all this move to the downside was quite predictable as soon as you kind of start to create that momentum to the downside. Now that you reach its target, it's a little bit of wait and see what's next. Maybe if you do find a bullish opportunity, maybe you can try to attempt to see price going all the way back, even if it's just towards that level. Yeah, that's it for the yen pairs. For the dollar yen, euro yen, quite similar. Reacting from this demand zone after this move to the downside. Euro yen is just slightly different in terms of where price is actually reacting from. We talked about last week that we had just taken these highs, and there was this level of structure in here, right? This support resistance on the monthly and weekly levels, and that's basically, I don't even know if price actually reacted from the base of this low, but kind of yeah, it missed it by a few pips. In this case, kind of 20 pips. Of course, I cannot really go in detail on the left side to see exactly what may have happened, or kind of what kind of structure we have in alignment in here. So we did manage to take this high. I mentioned that I wanted to see price take this this high in here, so that was taken, but I have no idea what's going on in there. I don't really have enough data to look into it, but since we took this high, maybe next destination can be a little bit of this level. So maybe the move on the euro yen to the upside hasn't really finished, and maybe this level can be the good level to look for another high. And we do have this one in here, which was the previous high that we took. Yeah, if you do break below this level, I think maybe you can go all the way and start feeling some of this compression move. We already have actually the break of this low. That's one of the clues to maybe start, or potential clues to eventually look for even a further move to the downside. But we need to break this level first. We literally need to break that level, and that can show a little bit more weakness on this yen. We do have a little bit of this structure. There's a little bit of a space between these levels and kind of that level in alignment with these previous levels of resistance. Something to pay attention to. Otherwise, you may just actually feel everything in here all the way. So yes, pay attention if you break this level or not. Then we had pound yen, a little bit more of the same. Actually quite different. Again, another one. We kind of just took this high and literally straight afterwards we reversed a high that it was kind of respected initially, creating it above top. We broke a low and then we compressed and we turned. So that's basically the move that we had, with price basically going all the way to retest this next level of support resistance within this level in here that was created just after that. So there was there's not exactly any goof down at this point. You can see how beautiful price reacted from there. So let's see, by any chance this one wants to continue to go higher after it broken this this high, right? So a few of the yen pairs, like maybe the yen, euro yen, as we saw in the bigger picture, may still wants to go higher. This pound yen may want to still to go higher as well. Of course, it could go a little bit down to react maybe from the demand zone, but for now this is enough. This previous level of support resistance is more than enough also to work as a good level. Compressed in here, price which we just fill that zone. Curious to see how price is going to react from these two levels that we have in here. But yeah, otherwise we may even continue to go higher, which would lead in the same direction of yen index to continue to move down towards one of those two demand zones that I just mentioned before. So yes, there's maybe more continuation on these yen pairs. This was another one, quite beautiful. This Aussie yen reacting from that level, just above these highs. This is one of my favorite levels to look for a potential reaction. So if you do find those levels, they are great. Strong move up, move to downside, and this is one that maybe hasn't really reacted from anything that important. Just a nice level in here, a small zone just underneath in here. Nevertheless, nothing in particular that stands out to me where that will reacted from. So maybe more room to the downside. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. This move in here, it's a little bit not just because of the end, actually taking advantage of the strength on the Aussie that we saw. Nevertheless, how this was compressed, like as soon as we turned, everything was compressed in there. Actually tried to go long in here. I missed by a little bit my entry. Yeah, that was all compressed. So basically price is just feeling the compression that was in there. I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. Are we going to slightly take the highs and move down, or trying to aim to go a little bit higher in there? Wait, what have I done? So yeah, let's see what's going to happen on this Aussie yen. But as you can see, like all these even yen pairs, or even euro pound or euro Aussie, they're kind of getting much better opportunities comparing with what the dollar is doing, to be honest. Which is great. Now we have dollar CAD, which can be one of the bearish pairs in here. So last week we saw it, nice little move, reaction to the downside. Price initially kind of respected it. I wanted to see, yeah, I didn't really got that bearish because this low was kind of respected it. But there you go, reaction from this next level of structure starts showing a little bit of bearish signs in here. I was even looking for price to make that final move upwards towards that level, and never occurred. Price just dropped, and really strong momentum to the downside. So is price ready to finally break these lows and create and go down, or is going to find again some level of support in alignment with this level? So that's kind of a question mark. It shows a little bit of proper weakness in here at this point. Yeah, maybe can go a little bit below this level. Let's see if there's still anything in here. Everything in alignment in here, it looks like has been taken from what I can see. We can start removing some of this stuff. There's maybe a little bit of this level or something underneath to look for, to see what how the CAD is going to react from. But it looks quite bearish at this point. Dollar franc Swiss. Oh my goodness. Yeah, dollar franc Swiss. Yeah, so dollar franc Swiss, I was mentioning that I was quite bullish, and I wanted even to see price going towards that level. Apparently price just respected the high. So as soon as it kind of price respected the high, the possibility of looking for longs in here kind of stopped for me, and I was starting just to look for next zone to again look for potential reversal. Price finally took that low in there, visible in here. Where are we? Right, price basically finally took a little bit of this low. So this is the low created, and this is kind of the first pause. Usually these levels eventually they're going to be faked out, and kind of price either kind of goes all the way maybe to the next month zone, or kind of just faked out and price reverses. And that's kind of what happened, slightly taken out and price reversed. Now I was looking for price to get a little bit closer to this level, to look for a long. It didn't happen in here, it didn't happen in here. It eventually apparently happened last Friday. I didn't really look at the market last Friday. I was away from the charts. And there you go, another strong move upwards all the way to the target, which is kind of the retest of this level in alignment with these ones. Nothing literally strange in this kind of move in terms of the levels there where it wants to go to, and that's it. Fantastic. There you go. It reacted from there. Okay, yeah, let's see what's going to happen next. Again, we are still within this range. Price is starting to be quite interesting. Maybe another one from here could occur. We haven't really broken the highs yet, but this level, and now that you have another kind of lows, we have this movement in here. We have literally the demand zone in alignment with this level, so that can be quite interesting to look for a potential long in here on our franc Swiss, something that I will keep an eye on for this week. That's for sure. Yep, so keep an eye on that one. Yeah, then we have gold. Strangely enough, at night after the FOMC we had that big spike. Now this varies depending on the survey that you're looking for. If that high actually managed to break the all-time high or not. In this one that I have in here, it just reacted from here. I have another one that I use. It actually managed to break the highs, so that can vary if this high actually managed to break or not the all-time highs. Nevertheless, yep, nice move in there and good reaction to the downside. Now, in my opinion, this kind of opens a little bit more the space for price to go a little bit lower, so I think eventually gold can go back closer to this 1990 zone instead of just pausing in here. So I think that's a little bit of a door that was open for price to go a little bit lower. Now is price going to have a little bit more of a deep retest before moving down? Maybe I do have a little bit of this zone. We just took this zone in here, this compression. That's nice. So we took these highs. That's actually quite nice to see. Maybe we can react a little bit from this level. So let's see if by any chance we are not going to open like that on Monday, making a little bit of a move upwards, kind of taking one of these lows and then kind of reacting somewhere from there around the London open, and kind of continue to move and push price more to the downside. That could be one scenario to see on gold. Otherwise, price may want to go all the way a little bit closer to the highs, and there's more still stuff going on in there. Yeah, I think gold wants to continue to go a little bit more to the downside. Is this going to be the top? Is price going to fake out all these highs? I think so. I think eventually we're going to indeed fake out all these highs. This is just a way to even attract more sellers whenever price gets closer in there. So I think eventually, even if you create a new double top just within this closer time frame, eventually we're going to have price breaking. Question mark is, are you going to break and actually go all the way down? I wouldn't say that at this point, all right? Because this is all-time highs, therefore I'm not going to be looking just for a potential reversal and move like this. I don't have historical data on the left to help me to find out where would be that level to look for a potential retracement. Since I don't have that, I'm not going to even gamble in terms of looking for this kind of big move down. Yep, maybe the tendencies continue to go higher. We'll see what's going to happen on gold. But for now, yes, I would like to see price getting closer to this level and eventually even take out these lows, going closer to this zone in here that we have been looking for as well. Oil, just the opposite of gold, strong move to the downside around the same time. Again, it may vary depending on the survey that you're looking for. In here, we actually managed to break this most recent low for the year, still kind of reacting from within that level in there. Yep, so let's see. We will move down. At this point, I'm not the biggest fan when you have these big spikes. It's hard then to kind of even again, I like to trade at the extremes, so don't see price getting there nowhere near that level, and even trying to look for longs in here. Yeah, we can maybe place stop losses underneath one of these lows. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Good move to the upside, going a little bit towards that level. Eventually may have a little bit of a move down again. Let's see what kind of opportunities oil is going to provide. Now, I was looking several times for a short in here, initially to fill this gap and then kind of to get a little bit closer to this level. That kind of occurred all the way through. So now it's kind of waiting a little bit to see what may happen in the future in here on oil. And then you have BTC, right? Yep, it looks like it's happening a little bit of what we covered in terms of after the strong move up and down in between this 27 and 30k. It looks, and I mentioned in that moment that most likely price will find a little bit of a range before maybe going somewhere. Kind of, there was way too strong of a move in between these two levels, and kind of price needs to slow down. Find some agreement in between the prices or the levels before maybe breaking either one side or the other. Yep, that's kind of what you are doing at this point. Apparently, anytime we get somewhere close to 30k mark, we are moving down, and then anytime we can be kind of getting closer a little bit to these lows, we are just moving upwards. The way to move upwards, really nice, broke the highs, retested the demand, goes higher, then retest support resistance in the demand, and until it finally reach this extreme in here. And now it's moving down. Let's see how price is going to do somewhere in here. If you break the lows, maybe we can continue to move a little bit down. There's maybe something in here that can still be used for a potential sell. Yeah, that's kind of where we are at this point. So you can trade in between these ranges, especially in the lower time frame. You can find your opportunities in there. Bigger picture, I need kind of price to break away from one of these levels to look for something else, right? Actually, the bigger range actually that you are trading is actually this one. Yeah, price respected that one, Price at that level. Looking even for price again. As I mentioned kind of last week, price gets somewhere near close these highs, or even maybe somewhere in there. Can be a good sell opportunity as well. Yeah, and if you break below these lows, that may open the space for price eventually to go to this 25 mark in there. Ethereum, nice retail KM zone, so with respect to that level, again a little bit off the range. It's still considering all that high. We feel the compression finally. In here it actually went a little bit higher than that, unless there's something in here that actually you can look at it in over time frame, and apparently there is, right? Powerful of going into the over time frame. You can literally see a little bit of this decision point within the supply level. So we had the big drop, pause, and the big drop again. Apparently this high didn't really reacted, nowhere near close that level, just took this high in here. So there was still a little bit of a fresh level just above it, which in reality goes also a little bit with this decision point, with all this demand zone. That's basically where price reacted from. Right, it's important always to pay attention to the lower time frame. Don't just consider that this high has reacted from something important. Go into the lower time frame and try to analyze exactly maybe where is the level a little bit more on the left, because eventually, even if price at this point kind of is still kind of holding, or this high is holding price down, eventually price actually is going to fake out this high when you're not expecting, because this level is still actually fresh. And there you go, really strong move into there. When initially, there you go, beautifully, initially it makes it look like that this high is managing to hold price down, and all of a sudden the big fake out happens into the level that is still fresh, and that it's not exactly visible on the bigger time frame. As you can see, even on 1 hour 30 minutes there's nothing in there, it's just this strong bearish candle. That's why it's important to investigate in the lower time frame something in there. Otherwise, you're going to be blind to the level. You're not going to see it. Most likely, you're going to be faked out into there. At least be aware of that level in there. So nice move. Nice moving to the downside. Let's see how price reacts from there. If it's going to feel or not. All this maybe going all the way until this demand zone somewhere in there. Yeah, eventually could be the case. Yeah, that's what Ethereum is going to do, with the chance even still to go a little bit lower towards there. Yeah, but it's funny now. It's kind of the demand that broke, push price to the upside. So let's see what's going to happen. And if price retraces here, maybe something in there also. Yeah, we are within that range. Nevertheless, yes, we did manage to break this high, which actually may open door eventually for price to get closer in here. This one is important to look at. That's it, guys. Thank you. Not really much else to say. Curious to see. I'm going to be following pound as it keeps going upwards. What's going to happen after it breaks those highs? Dollar, which direction is going to break? That's something to look for as well. The end pairs, are we going to resume the move or not? Something that I'll keep following as well. And the indices as well, something that we may be close to potential big sell-off or not, or if price just actually gains the momentum without showing and maybe breaking those highs that you're looking for. That will change my bias then. But for now, I'm still going to keep looking for potential shorts as well, and the dollar franc Swiss also to see if it retests again these lows, what may happen, especially if the dollar is about to go upwards. That can help. Yeah, interesting week ahead. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you next weekend. Bye bye.